Hi, Greg Lothian here with the tip of the week. What we're going to talk about this week is rotator cuff issues. There's a lot of people out there with rotator cuff issues who have gone for therapy to try and resolve the problem. It never really helped, and now they don't know what to do. So we're going to talk about what you should do if therapy or the exercises that you were given aren't working to help you with your shoulder. Okay, so there's a lot of people out there with shoulder pain, and the catch-all term that seems to be used is rotator cuff pain. It isn't all rotator cuff pain, but there is a large percentage of it that is rotator cuff pain. So if you've gone for therapy before, you worked with a physio or an athletic therapist like myself or somebody else, and you did all the little exercises they gave you, and it never really helped. This, years ago, many years ago, I discovered the key to unlocking this, and it was because I had a client come in to me and say exactly that. And it was probably one of my first few years working in a private clinic, and he came in and it was, struggled with his shoulder for just over about 2 years. Had tried a bunch of different things, tried physio, osteo, and was just coming to me. He heard that I was good at what I did, I guess, through somebody else. It was a referral, and he thought, well, here's one last effort to try and fix this problem. So because he had tried everything else, and certainly I'm no smarter than the average bear, I didn't want to go through the same routine that everyone else went through to discover what the actual problem, what the symptoms of the problem were, and try and address that, because that didn't work before. So we just sat down and said, okay, you know what? Give me an idea of all of the activities you're doing and be detailed about it, including what you're doing in the gym. And he trained on a regular basis, but there was a bunch of stuff that he couldn't do anymore because it was getting bad. We walked through the whole, everything he was doing, starting with his gym workouts. And when he demonstrated to me like how he was doing the movements, on paper, his workout seemed, pretty good. It seemed like it was pretty well put together. It was well rounded. He'd been doing it for many years. And then I asked him to just show me some of the more major movements that he was doing. There are a couple, one exercise in particular that actually gives shoulder pain, but it's not rotator cuff pain. It's a preacher curl exercise. So what happened with him was he was doing preacher curls, which is on a bench, curling up like this, and it sets your shoulders forward, and he's pulling up. And it wasn't rotator cuff injury that he had, even though he felt it in that area. What it was actually his bicep tendon was getting pinched in through here and repetitively ground down by doing preacher curls. This is an exercise, by the way, that you should never do. Preacher curls, it sits your shoulders too far forward. It's going to wreck what's going on with your shoulders. We corrected, that was the only thing I did with him. I never saw him again except for outside the clinic, and his shoulder pain went away, and I think it was like 2.5 weeks or something like that. So having a look at if you're having chronic issues, you don't know how to solve them. Unfortunately, I can't give you, the one thing that's magically going to fix it. But the thing that is magically going to fix it is going to see somebody who truly understands biomechanics, how you should be moving. So checking how you're pulling, how you're lifting things and pushing things and pressing up over your head, and making sure they fully understand that it's not just like, here are the exercises I'm doing, but have a look at how I'm doing them and make sure that I'm doing them right. And that will be the key to unlock what's going on with your shoulder. So many times now, starting from when I worked with that guy on, I always take a step back and take control over the exercises that they're doing completely, so that I can make sure that I teach people how to move properly, so that they don't end up wearing out tendons early or ending up with problems later that they don't even know where they came from. So make sure that you're checking a couple of movement patterns that I could highlight in this video. Is if you're pushing, try and keep your elbows in. Don't have your elbows flared out when you're pushing up over your head or pushing forward. You want to really make sure that your whole arm pushes forward when you're doing it. And then also the other culprits are when you're pulling down or pulling towards yourself. Don't have your shoulders up like this, or don't have your shoulders forward when you're doing any pulling movements. Make sure that your shoulders sit nice and your shoulder blades are back whenever you're doing, and that applies to pushing or pulling, at least initially. So if you've had problems for a long time, go and talk to somebody. But before you commit to working with them, ask them about their knowledge for biomechanical movement, and how that you want to be active, you want to be able to do movement, and you're looking for somebody to specifically check to see how you're moving, and if you're not moving properly, how to correct that movement so that these kind of problems go away. Okay, I hope that helps, and as always, be active, be healthy, and be injury free.